of money. Bread, cash, dosh, dough, loot, lucre, mullah, the readies, the wherewithal. Call it what you like. Money can break us, or it can make us.
In the past year, it's certainly broken more than a few of the biggest names on Wall Street and in the City of London. And while former masters of the universe crash and burn, the rest of us are left worrying if our savings would be safer in a mattress than in a bank.
The great financial crisis that began in the summer of 2007 has most of us utterly baffled. How on earth could a little local difficulty with subprime mortgages in the United States unleash an economic tsunami big enough to obliterate some of Wall Street's most illustrious names, to force nationalizations of banks on both sides of the Atlantic, and to bring the entire world economy to the very brink of recession, if not downright depression? Shouldn't this series be called The Descent of Money? Well, I want to explain to you just how money rose to play such a terrifyingly dominant role in all our lives.
What's more, I want to reveal financial history as the essential backstory behind all history. Banks financed the Renaissance, while the bond market decided wars. Stock markets built empires, and monetary meltdowns made revolutions.
From ancient Mesopotamia right down to present-day London, the ascent of money has been an indispensable part of the ascent of man. But money's rise has never been a smooth upward ride. As we'll see, financial history has repeatedly been interrupted by gut-wrenching crises, of which today's is just the latest.
From the fluctuating prices of the homes we own to the high-speed industrialization of China, the power of finance is everywhere we look, and it affects all of our lives.
But are you in on the secret? Do you know what causes a bank run or a monetary meltdown or a stock market crash? Can you tell the difference between a subprime loan and a prime loan? Well, I think these financial technicalities only really make sense once you know where they came from. And that's why financial history is of more than merely academic interest. Not knowing this stuff can seriously damage your wealth.
Crisis or no crisis, the amount of money sloshing around planet finance still boggles the mind. By one measure, the US stock of money is now $8.7 trillion, up 12% since last year. And some people are still pocketing a huge share of that cash. Last year, despite the onset of the biggest financial crisis since the Depression, his hedge fund paid George Soros a cool $2.4 billion. That's roughly 41,000 times more than the average American family earned. As they say on Wall Street, way to go.
Now, however, imagine a world with no money. 500 years ago, the most powerful society in South America, the Inca Empire, had no real concept of money. The Incas appreciated the aesthetic qualities of rare metals. Gold was the sweat of the sun, silver the tears of the moon. Labor was the unit of value in the Inca Empire, just as it was later supposed to be in a communist society. But in 1532, the Incas ran into a man whose hunger for money had led him across an ocean. Francisco Pizarro and his fellow conquistadores had come from Spain to what they called Upper Peru, inspired by the legend of El Dorado, the realm of the gold-covered king. After defeating the Inca army at the Battle of Cajamarca, their quest began in earnest. At Potosi, in what is now Bolivia, the Spaniards struck it rich. They discovered the Cerro Rico, literally, the rich hill. Towering nearly 16,000 feet above sea level, it was a money mountain.
In their 250 years of Spanish rule, more than 2 billion Europeans had such an insatiable lust for gold and silver. They couldn't understand that to Pizarro and the conquistadores, silver was much more than just shiny metal. It could be made into money. A store of value, a unit of account, portable power. I must say, I find this place pretty harrowing. The Spaniards had a system of forced labour, which meant that every able-bodied male in the native population had to do a stint down these mines. And you can see why 1 in 8 of them didn't survive the ordeal.
Today, 500 years later, conditions for miners in the Cerro Rico haven't improved much. But at least they get paid for the work they do. In those days, it was a way of making money that verged on genocide. The silver ore was ground up, refined with mercury, and then shipped to Europe as bars and coins. Empire, it seemed, had made the Spanish crown rich beyond the dreams of avarice.
And yet all the silver in the mines of Potosi couldn't halt the inexorable economic and political decline of Spain's empire. Why was that, when Pizarro seemed to have struck it so incredibly rich? The answer is that the Spaniards had dug up so much silver to finance their wars of conquest that the metal itself suffered an extraordinary decline in value. More silver coins didn't make Spain richer. They simply made prices higher as an increased quantity of money chased the same amount of goods. What the Spaniards didn't get was that money is only worth what other people will give in exchange for it.
And whether money takes the form of silver coins, seashells, bars of gold, or banknotes, that's been true from ancient times right down to the present day. Even lumps of clay can work better than silver coins, if people have enough confidence in them.
In ancient Mesopotamia, nearly 4,000 years ago, people used clay tablets like these ones to commit themselves to particular financial transactions. For example, this one, found a little southwest of Baghdad, specifies that a debtor will repay a lender 330 measures of grain on the harvest day. But this one's even more fascinating, because what it says is that a debt of 4 measures of barley should be repaid to the bearer of the clay tablet. And it's that idea of repayment to the bearer that really fascinates me.
If the phrase sounds familiar, then it should. Just take a look at a £20 note. Banknotes have next to no intrinsic worth. They're simply promises to pay, just like the clay tablets of ancient Babylon 4 millennia ago. On the back of the $10 bill, it says, "In God we trust." But it's not really God you're trusting in.
By swapping your goods or your labour for a fistful of these things, you're trusting the US Treasury Secretary not to repeat Spain's mistake and produce so many of the damn things that by the time you come to spend them, they're worth even less than the paper they're printed on.
Today, we're quite happy with paper money. Even more amazingly, we're happy with money we can't even see. Millions of dollars pass through this woman's hands every day. Or rather, across her computer screen. She's a foreign exchange dealer whose business is literally buying and selling money. Each day, around $3 trillion changes hands in transactions like these around the world. And it's all built on trust. It has to be, when you can't even touch the stuff.
That's what the conquistadores got wrong. They failed to see that money is about trust, even faith. Trust in the person paying you the money. Trust in the central bank issuing the money. Trust in the commercial bank that honors the check. Money isn't metal, it's trust inscribed. And it doesn't much matter what it's inscribed on. Paper, silver, clay, or a screen, provided the recipient believes in it.
There was one huge possibility created by the emergence of money as a system of mutual trust. A possibility that would revolutionize world history. It was the idea that you could rely on people to borrow money from